Man, does Apple know how to make a video? Don't they know how to make a commercial for a phone that's brand new? Or is it brand new? Well, it's sort of brand new. It's brand new on the inside, and that's what counts. Of course, I'm talking about the newly announced, not through an event, through a press release. Of course, we know the status. We know the situation in 2020. It's the iPhone SE 2. They're not calling it the SE 2. It's just the SE, second generation. But to those of you that just want to get a grip on what it exactly is, well, it's the iPhone 8. But inside, which is the part that counts, you're getting iPhone 11 specs. And then, on top of it all, you're getting a price tag. And I think this story is mostly about the price tag at $399. Especially in a time when brands like OnePlus, as we saw in those recent unboxing videos that I posted, where they're going up market. Big price tags on their flagship material. Now, I'm not trying to compare the devices because obviously they're different things. And they're for different people. They're for different customers. But as much as you can look at this thing and kind of find it underwhelming to have a device that's like an old device, there is a weird kind of nostalgic play that has become evident to me. Because I'm out in the street. Well, not as much anymore. But when I was, which wasn't that long ago, it was a lot of older iPhones out there. You see people in real life hanging on to those old iPhones, hanging on to that small form factor. What do they need? What do they need to see improved? Are they like you and I? Do they need the cutting edge spec? Do they have to have the bezel-less screen to body ratio, aggressive screen to body ratio? Do they need all that? Or do they just want the same thing they have, but faster? The same thing they have, but with an improved camera? The same thing they have, but with wireless charging? Or possibly better battery life, though that remains to be seen, though Apple does say, they say, hey, you're gonna have this tremendous battery life. I mean, you saw the commercial. All right, so what do I have in front of me here? I wanted to know how this thing was gonna stack up. This new iPhone SE, iPhone SE 2, iPhone SE 2020. And so I had to bring out the history lesson, the museum items. We have on the far left the iPhone 7, which when the iPhone 8 came out, it was like, okay, that's an iPhone 7. And so I had to have that there just to, well, it's kind of fit the table well also, so kind of do it like that. iPhone 7, iPhone 8, iPhone 11 Pro, iPhone 11, iPhone 11 Pro Max. Okay, cool. We get the idea. We can slide this one out of there because it's not part of the lineup. Of course, this is an iPhone 8. It's not an iPhone SE 2, but that's exactly what it looks like. And the first thing, when I went back to reach for this thing, it struck me how compact it was. It really feels like a trip down memory lane. And I don't know if it's just strictly nostalgia, a longing for a past that no longer exists, and also a future that no longer exists because you know how the lockdown goes. So there's some kind of weird, warm and fuzzy feeling just hanging on to something that you're so familiar with, and it's, well, so easy to hold because of how tiny it is. But then you flip it around the other way, and it's actually hard to see it on this phone, so I'll pull out the 7 for this purpose. You flip it over this way, and it's, well, the nostalgia fades, doesn't it? Because you're staring at some giant bezels on there. And I'm not sure who's really okay with that or who wants that. I'm sure there's people who don't care, but it's hard as an enthusiast to look at something like that and be all right with it. Be happy with it, satisfied, because it just, well, that's one of those old tech things where there's no warm and fuzzy. It's just, maybe there's a warm and fuzzy when it comes to Touch ID because, you know, some people just never really got comfy with the Face ID situation. Of course, people are wearing masks now, so kind of an opportune time. I wish they never got rid of it. I wish these devices had the versatility of some other devices where you have the in-display as well as the face unlock. But the big important characteristic is the price point. And the reason I think this device will be attractive to a number of people, three reasons. I'll break it down to 3. Number 1, price, $399. I want an Apple logo in something modern that can run all the tasks I want it to run. I want that for a price unlike the Pro models. I want that for the lowest possible entry. Okay, here you go, $399. There's your Apple logo. Oh, by the way, one One thing that did change, the Apple logo moved down to the center from where it was on the iPhone 8 to match the other models, all right? Because you can see how ugly that looks in this lineup. Who could accept such a thing? So the Apple logo moved down. So number one, price. I want that Apple logo for the lowest possible price. I walk into the Apple store, I head over to the website. My phone is old, my phone is busted. I'm at the Genius Bar once the lockdown ends. I'm at the Genius Bar. My phone is busted or the battery's dead. Okay, I need a new one. Well, what do I got in the bank account? It's not looking good. Okay, I'll take the $399. You see, this is kind of the iPhone to fill all the gaps from a person who's not constantly upgrading every single cycle. And the way I look at it, by them putting that chip in there that's shared across this variety of devices that are way more money, the actual user experience, minus the immersiveness of the display side, the user experience, a person feeling like they're using one of these at $399. Pat themselves on the back, save the extra money, you know? It's kind of funny, Apple having a $399 play that they just announced right on the back of the OnePlus event where everyone said, oh, they went up market. That's not a flagship killer anymore. It's just straight up flagship. Some people applaud them for that. Other people, hey, where's the play for a guy like me? Where's the $500 play? Or let alone the $400 play? Now, granted, how can you compare? Apple, they took an old shell. They crammed the stuff in there. It's an old thing kind of made new. But I just gotta say, from personal experience, as much as it's hard for me as a tech enthusiast to get excited about an old form factor done over again, that's us. We're in this community. We're deep. We watch this stuff, make these videos. Out in the real world, with everybody else that might not be a part of this specific community, it's a different story. And that cost component really does matter. So, first thing, it's gonna be price. Second thing is gonna be camera. Now hear me out for a second here. I know you're thinking, he's making all these justifications. What is he, an Apple fan? Fine, call me what you want. I don't even use these. I feel like I'm making a case. Allow me to make a case, please, if you don't mind. I appreciate you spending the time, by the way. The camera. Yes, these things, it's a massive camera setup. You've got the versatility. You've got the telephoto, you've got the wide on the Pro model. And, of course, you have only the 2 camera setup on the non-Pro model. But let's just talk about the Pro model, the flagship. How often does the average person end up just snapping a photo with the main camera unit? Anyway. And we know that the iPhone 11 Pro, it's got one of the best main camera units on any phone, period. It's got the price tag to match. So you sit there and you say to yourself, $399, and I have the same, at least that's what Apple's telling us now, I have the same camera performance as the main camera on a phone that's well over $1,000 in most configurations, many configurations. You say, okay, I can't bust into the wide angle. I can't zoom in on a telephoto. I don't have the versatility. But as far as that one-to-one comparison, boom, I pop off a shot and I have flagship quality camera operation at $399. That's a bit of a win, is it not? Call me crazy? You guys do it anyways. It's a bit of a win, is it not? Number 3 is going to be form factor. There's just people out there, they have to exist. They must be real. There's people out there who are not all about this big phone trend. I know it's mostly not us in this community here, but there's got to be some people out there, they pick up these big devices. Jeez, man, I can't handle it. It's not me. I'm not saying it's me. I think it's one of the reasons that the Pro model comes in smaller than the first non-Pro 11. They gave people a flagship option that's smaller than most other flagship options from other brands. So Apple's thinking about it. What are people's hand sizes? What can people put up with? And so for those that are out there that just don't want to scale this thing up, they want a slim and trim little package for the pocket, and I presume those people exist, then that's another reason they're going to look at the SE. So just to recap, price is number 1. The camera, and I'll include the processor in there as well. the power, the computing power that's in there as well, the modernization of that component, but mostly the camera. All right, we have price, camera, and size. And that's kind of how this SE shakes out. I keep referencing the iPhone 8 as the SE because for all intents and purposes, that's exactly what we're dealing with. Now, the downsides, they're fairly obvious. You have an antiquated look, and I'm going to keep grabbing for the 7 because I might as well, because the look is essentially the same minus the glass back. You have a very dated look. You have a phone that you're going to pull out of your pocket and absolutely no one is going to point at that and say, hey man, cool phone. It's not going to happen. Granted, who cares? Maybe for some people. But maybe you're not even going to look at it and think, hey, cool phone. Are you going to be inspired looking at this slab? I doubt it. Does that matter to you? You have to evaluate. You have to look at it. For a person like me, on the enthusiast side, I like to see the future. Big, bright, OLED display. Go ahead and blame me. All right, that's where I'm at in 2020. So I think the bad points on it are fairly obvious, so I don't really need to recap all of them. And certainly, if you're willing to expand your horizon and look out to the various other brands that exist globally, $399 is not chump change. You can get some pretty futuristic looking phones for $399. But I really don't think that's who this SE2 is for. This SE2 is for those people that I referenced earlier. That wide variety of people. And believe me, it is a wide variety of people. So as uninspiring as this thing might be for people like us, we have to understand the play. We have to look at what Apple's trying to do. And when you combine the global situation with that group of people who are already trending that way, the global situation with the economic slowdown and all the rest of it, maybe price is this killer feature above all else. Maybe that's why people have been very sensitive about this recent OnePlus launch. I've been reading the comments. People say, what is that's not the OnePlus DNA. Maybe that's why. Maybe it is price above all else. Anyway, you let me know what you think. That's what I think. Here it is. This is the iPhone SE2. I mean, you can't tell the difference looking at it.